Its Punisher is kind of an old character. When he was first made, they used Cable as a base. So, on top of having all of the problems of how do we use Cable as a base and not have the character just look and act like Cable with the gun, they had some palette problems with the original sprites when they made them. So things like his hair being black would be tied in with his outfit being black. His teeth were kind of messed up. The guns shared a palette with the character himself, so if you made the Punisher red, he'd have red guns, like weird things like that. So this version of the character that I'm messing with, somebody had gone through and redrew a lot of the sprites to be a smart palette so that they can have him with the newer look with the gloves and the t-shirt as well as the old look, and also cleaned up a lot of those palette problems. The problem with that is that when they did that, they didn't do it for every sprite, just the ones that they were using. So there are a lot of things in his animations that are just not able to be used, even though I have them, because they do not have the new paletting. Paletting? Is that a word? But so you miss out on. Well, there was a cool punch I was going to show that I can't use, but there it is. So you would get things like, for some reason, we have just the first two sprites of the animation, and then the rest of this punch I can't use. But I did what I could, and so the Punisher with the t-shirt here is the one I'm working on. And the one on the right with the traditional costume is an older version that somebody else had worked on. Basically, this character, a couple of people have iterated and tried to do what they could, but some of the problems you run into, say for example, the old Punisher, it's got a pretty decent jab. Crouching jab is way too fast, looks ridiculous. He gets things like this, like these little. I'm gonna slow it down. That's his standing light kick. Is this weird little. He gets a lot of stuff where it doesn't look like he's completing the motion. It seems kind of unnatural, and that's a problem. He also has this standing medium punches like this headbutt. Looks a little jank. Moving forward, it has like a very crap hitbox. What do you see what we're working with? This kick is new. I don't know who worked on it. They gave him this, but and then another thing he has a gun. It's his standing heavy punch and his crouching heavy kick. And when he runs out of ammo, for some reason you have to hit start to reload, which is weird. But then you get all these other. They're supposed to be like crappier moves, I guess, but I don't know why you would put a gun in your mouth. And then he gets like this chunky slide that's not fantastic. That's not that, but in the air he gets. See that punch, for example, I cannot use that. Yeah, air gun fire, cool. The thing they did do is the original Punisher had a Shoryuken where he used his knife. They repurposed that as a launcher with the world's funniest hitbox. Look at that. And that hits low. And they also made that his air medium. So now that I've said that I don't have a lot of the sprites and there aren't certain things I can't really. I was trying to give him a little more flavor and his normals not look so weird. So for my Punisher, that that jab that this guy had is now his standing medium punch. And the light punch is like a gut punch with the same animation. It just stops a little early, so it looks, combo's cool. He's got the knee. I took the jumping medium kick and turned it into a standing normal for him. So you can, it looks alright. This attack, the that used to be crouching medium on the original Punisher. That was his launcher, and it would yeet him forward. It looked ridiculous. I'm making this my guy's jab. So he's got like kind of stubby normals. They're a little slower, but. And then the crouching medium punch is now that jab. I slowed it down. It hits low. So you could do things like go for a low. I took this thing and I fixed the animation as best as I could. So he's got like a little oomph on it compared to the original, where he just kind of does a thing and then leans back. And it's not an overhead yet, but I'm going to make that an overhead forward medium punch. So you could do things like, you know, are you going into your low or your overhead for your middle of your combo. Crouching light kick. I wanted to get rid of all of these. These are terrible. I actually fixed this animation to use pieces of the old shooting animation to give him a traditional sweep. Like, look at that compared to this. I also, I repurposed, you know, let's get out of ammo. I repurposed this thing with a little bit of I used some of his rolling animation, this. Be kind of like a little moving forward type of dealio. It's gotta be a little better than whatever this thing was, this flump. But the thing I am kind of proud of is the crouching light kick, which is a knife stab. That was, I only had 2 sprites of the knife to do that. So I kind of had to get creative, but he's got some jank, but, you know, it's the best I could do with what I have. Like, it's not as nice as, say, that has like a little squash and stretch and everything on it. This is just that, but you know, it doesn't look too bad in normal motion. And then for the like I said, this Punisher had the standing heavy punch and the crouching heavy kick was the gun. Now that I have a traditional crouching heavy kick, I added that second hit to just hitting heavy punch twice. So you could do that for combos. You know, you could do things like into stuff, but in the air, when the other Punisher was out of bullets, they repurposed that weird that punch that I specifically showed off before is kind of like an air thing. If you're a Cable player, you recognize that. I just gave him the same animation that he would have for his heavy kick. You're really not going to want to be fucking around not having ammo. I don't really see the reason to reward the player on giving them moves to do when they don't have ammo. So, also, you reload with this Punisher now just by hitting heavy punch when you're out of bullets. So I didn't need an animation for him punching heavily when he was out of bullets. Air normals, this Punisher had the knee, that kick, which is also way too fast. That's the thing I repurposed as a standing normal. And then he has a spike kick as his heavy. Mine has the knee, he has the spike kick as a medium. I'm going to adjust the hitbox so I can use that for cross-ups. And then what this Punisher's jumping medium would be that I repurpose as a ground normal is also going to be his jumping heavy kick. Same thing he does with heavy punch when he's out of bullets. Jab's the same. I stole that knife idea, and then he's got the gun. Thing I do need to fix, I don't know how, but look where that bullet's coming from. So I gotta, like, hitboxes and timings and all that type of stuff. Hit stun, all that is all over the place on this character right now. I'm still figuring that out, but I also don't know how I want his chaining to be. He's probably just going to do light, medium to heavy instead of the zigzag. You know, everybody likes to give Marvel characters and Mugen the whole zigzag for some reason. I'm probably going to let him zigzag his light punch into the light kick. And then after that, you gotta go punch or kick, medium and heavy. So, in order to give him a little more combo ability, considering one of his buttons is a projectile with an ammo counter, that you can't really. Well, I guess you can kind of do it in a combo, but it's not ideal. He has this overhead, like I said, so you can get that nice little overhead, low mix up. But I also gave him command normal for a forward and heavy kick that might become forward and medium kick. I'm not sure what it's going to do yet. I might give it a little invincibility or a little bit of armor. See, maybe it'll knock the opponent up or back a little bit. I'm still trying to figure out how velocities and stuff work too, but right now it just trips. So I was kind of going with the Dutch Schaefer when I came up with that, you know, from the AVP arcade game. But also, this kick used to wall bounce. It looked really bad. Now it just pops up. So you could do things like that. I think if I remember right, the old AK-47 loop in the corner. We'll figure something out with that, but the idea with this character, I want him to be kind of like what the Pizza High 5 version was, where he would set up. Oh, he has a new mine, by the way. You know, throw some shit out on the screen to you know, set up shop basically, create an opportunity to go in, do a combo, cash out the damage, back up, set up shop again. You know, count your bullets, control space, reload when you need to. I'm actually he's got this back hop right now, which, you know, traditional Mugen problem. You're airborne. So I'm gonna fix that, but I do like the idea of him being able to retreat and fire the gun. If you want to spend your ammo to do that. Another thing I did with him is he used to have the special where he rolled back and threw a grenade. And as you can see on this other Punisher, you can toggle what you throw. So, you know, he had a smoke canister, he had a Molotov. It was, you know, he doesn't, I don't really think of Punisher throwing Molotovs. So, this Punisher now can only throw grenades, but he can throw them standing. He could throw them with the roll. I'm going to put, there's invincibility on the roll. So you could use it to escape stuff, you know, throw a grenade in your wake. He can also just roll without throwing a grenade with the invincibility. So he has a new landmine as well. It's the old one. You can even see it shares the palette. So he's got that now. It works the same. It also wall bounces. It looks like shit. I'm going to remove that wall bounce. What I'm going to do is have it, instead of popping up and sending backwards, I'm going to have it yeet the opponent up and towards Punisher. So right now I don't have the medium or heavy version done. It's just lights put it down. But what I'm probably also going to do is still give him the ability to roll backwards and then plant a mine. And what I'm thinking too is I'm going to repurpose this grenade throwing animation for the mine. So he could do maybe some kind of, if you got them in a block string, you can cancel, throw the mine behind them, and then push them into it. We'll see what I do with that though. Another thing I do want to do is get rid of this. I'm probably going to give an animation where he sticks like a landmine on them and detonates it. I don't really, it's kind of silly to, the stab, the roll past is cool, and then he pulls out another handgun. So now he has two MS Paint guns, and it looks kind of weird, pistol whip them and then shoot them with the gun from a weird angle. Like, it's not great. So I'm gonna remove that, and the shotgun popping up and the Uzi popping back, I don't really like. So I'm gonna swap those so that when you do the Uzi, it pops them up. And we're probably gonna reverse the animation so that well, am I having trouble doing it now because it's slow? Yeah. See how he just like sprays? I'm probably gonna make that so that he just shoots the Uzi and then aims upwards and drags them up with it. And that'll be something maybe he could jump cancel, or he has enough space afterwards to, we'll see. Something like that could be fun. And then the shotgun's just gonna blow them backwards, get them away from you. I want to remove this AK-47 entirely and just use this gun. Or better guns if I could find them. Right now he kind of has that thing, and then they're practically the same. I'm gonna try to see if I could find some kind of a different use. Maybe he just fires the gun slow and fast. But the upwards shot I want to keep, so I need to find a way to fix that. Also, look at his hands. Like, these are not pretty sprites. I'm gonna have to see what I can do to that. I'm not a sprite artist is the problem. I removed the terrible van super, which I don't remember how to. No, it's the motorcycle, right? Yeah. Yeah, this is gone. I think this was a level 3. This is a terrible, useless super. I'm gonna find something to replace that with, but also, how the hell do you do the... Nope, that's not it. It's the gun. Whatever, who gives a shit? He had another super where he hits you with his van, and then it's like a whole interactive QTE thing. That's gone. The grenade launcher super's gone. All this Punisher has right now is he has the big gun, which will be a level 1, and then he has the motorcycle. I'm going to make that a level 3. I'm going to try to clean up the coding about that when I learn. And the idea with that is that's going to be an invincible instant super. So maybe not instant, maybe like a frame or something. But the idea is that somebody throws something out unsafe and Punisher's got 3 bars. He could threaten, all right, I'm going to pop my bars, I'm going to hit you. Maybe he can combo after it. I'm not sure yet. I haven't gotten that far. Still figuring it out. But I might give him some kind of a... I feel like maybe only having one level 1 super is not fantastic. It's kind of dull. If I have to try to figure out how to give him more variety, I might give him some kind of a super. Sadly, if I had that cool punch animation, I could repurpose that for throwing a grenade down. I'd like to give him like the Punisher arcade game where you could jump and throw grenades at the floor. I thought that would be a cool super, maybe like a get off me super, but we will figure it out as we go. The next thing too is this throw sucks. It's so weird and janky, and like there's too much going on and it doesn't look great. I'm gonna figure out, I want to give him a new front and back throw. What I'm probably gonna do is repurpose this light kick to be some kind of a judo throw. Maybe that'll be his back throw. Like he gets close, he does that animation, and then the opponent like flies behind him. And then for the front throw, there's like this kick he has that he doesn't use. That at the beginning of it seems like it could be kind of like a good like I don't know, like one like a big boot, like knock them back or something. And I gotta figure out an air throw. I want all of these characters I'm making to have air throws. But yeah, questions, comments, suggestions, advice, tips, anything, feedback would be fantastic. Uh, thanks.